What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Doctor Who review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 10th Doctor David Tennant story, The Runaway Bride. This is the Christmas special, the second Christmas special in the new series. It is the first time we properly get to see the 10th Doctor with a companion that isn't Rose, so that in itself is something a little bit different. Rose is of course gone now. She left in Doomsday, and we have Donna for this story, played by Catherine Tate. For this one story, we then of course get into Series 3 where we have Martha Jones, and then Series 4 we're back to Donna again. So this is the one-off Donna story where they weren't really expecting that she was going to come back. But yeah, let's get started with the cast. David Tennant as the 10th Doctor. He is awesome in this one. He's funny. He's just really, really good. He does have quite a lot of moments where he's thinking about Rose and it's still obviously missing Rose. There's a lot of scenes like that. And you also have some very dark scenes with him, like when he's, drowning out the Rachnos. Some very dark moments, some very funny moments as well, especially with Catherine Tate. I mean, with Donna, the chemistry between these two is there from the get-go. I mean, it's even better in Series 4 when they're properly working together. But even in this episode, this one-off episode here, the chemistry between David Tennant and Catherine Tate is just so good, and between the two characters of the Doctor and Donna as well, it's so good. And as usual, there's nothing bad to say about Tennant's performance. Catherine Tate as Donna Noble is also, I think, good here. Now, an interesting thing I've mentioned, because I've talked about this before, I'm watching through these with my partner. She's kind of half watching most of the time, but she's at least present when I'm watching them. And she actually really liked this episode and really liked Donna in particular because of her attitude. She doesn't seem to have a liking for the Doctor here, which mostly like a love interest at least, which is mostly the case even for Series 4. They're just really good friends. Here, they're not even good friends. She really hates him. She calls him out on his bullshit, to be honest, I think is something that my partner said. And she really likes that because she hated it when, Rose would always just like, following him around and loves him and everything. She really loved Donna, and I agree with that. Catherine Tate's performance is great. She does get on some people's nerves with how irritating she is, but I think as a character, I do prefer her in Series 4. But that's the character development. That is the character development of Donna's character. And in this first story, for her to be quite unlikable in some ways, to then become what is mine and a lot of people's favourite companion later on in the show, I think is really good. Right, so let's get on to some points about The Runaway Bride. Donna appears in the TARDIS. It's how it started, it's how Doomsday ended, with Donna appearing in the TARDIS and the whole what thing. It's hilarious. After such a sad, emotional goodbye from Doomsday, you get into this thing where you've literally got a woman who's about to get remarried in her wedding dress in the TARDIS. She just appears out of nowhere. It is quite the opening. It's just so ridiculous. The Doctor and Donna rushing around to get to the wedding. So yeah, when the Doctor asks her, like, what's going on? She's supposed to be going to a wedding. Why am I here? She thinks she's been abducted and everything. And he takes her back to Earth. And now they're trying to rush around to get to the wedding. They trying to get money out because they need to get a taxi because they're nowhere near where they're supposed to be. I think Donna's like, we're on the other side of town. So they try and get a taxi. But of course, the Doctor doesn't have any money. And Donna doesn't have any money. The whole pockets thing, I think, is pretty funny. And that's a running gag throughout the episode. Donna doesn't have pockets. And then later on, the Doctor has that remote control in his pocket, and he's like, oh, look, pockets. Very useful having pockets. So that's the whole thing throughout the whole episode. And just running around trying to get to this wedding is just hilarious. The Doctor saving Donna from the taxi. This is probably possibly my favourite part of the story. My favourite just scene. It's one of my favourite scenes in the new series, to be honest. When, Donna goes in the taxi, it turns out it's one of the robot Santas. She can't get out because the doors are all locked, and the Doctor starts flying the TARDIS, not just like, materializing and dematerializing. He's literally flying the TARDIS. You can see it just spinning around and flying. And Donna's just like, you have got to be kidding me. That whole thing is hilarious. And then when he's trying to make a jump, and he's like, you've got to jump. She's like, I'm in my wedding dress. You look lovely. Now jump. Just that whole thing is just, it's so good. Donna calling the Doctor a Martian. Another funny moment. This is a very comedic episode, which a lot of the Christmas ones are quite comedic, and this is definitely one of, if not maybe the most comedic of the Christmas specials that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. It's definitely up there. But I love it for it. It is a very Christmassy episode in a lot of ways, and I don't love it sometimes when they go full hog Christmas, but just the feel and the funness of this one as any other story, I wouldn't be a big fan, but as a Christmas story, I love it. And yeah, the Donna calling the Doctor a Martian is just hilarious. He's like, I'm not from Mars, and that whole thing. And when she finally says it again, he's like, right, first thing, I'm not from Mars. I just love that whole thing. The Christmas tree baubles are bombs. Now this is a cool thing, you start they finally get to the party, the wedding. They're kind of having the after party or the reception, whatever it is, and there's a Christmas tree there, and then all of a sudden the baubles off the Christmas tree start like flying and floating around. There's like really nice music playing, and then they turn into bombs and start just flying towards people and exploding. Really crazy moment, really cool stuff. It is very similar to the whole, killer Christmas tree thing from the Christmas Invasion. It's a bit silly. I'd say maybe less silly than the Christmas tree, like the spinning Christmas tree. But yeah, it's pretty brutal, and it's cool. The Doctor, Donna, and Lance riding segways. So Lance is Donna's, well, not husband yet, fiance, but I guess now he is, because they did get married, although they kind of didn't. A bit confusing. But they end up, trying to figure out what's going on. They go under H.C. Clements, which is where Lance and Donna work. They find these segways to start driving around. They just drive around on the segways. It's just a funny little scene. It doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's just a little scene that they wanted to put in there for comedy, and I quite like it. The Rachnos is a bit of a pantomime villain. So we get onto the actual villain of the story, the main villain anyway, the Rachnos. Now, it's not my favorite villain, from the way she speaks to just what it is. It's just a spider, but with like a human kind of body attached to the front of it. It's not the most I never love it when I find it quite lazy in a lot of ways when Doctor Who do kind of real creatures from the world as monsters. And especially when they do it in this way, where it's like, it looks like a real, a spider, but it's just kind of got a human head and body attached to the front of it. I just think it's a bit lazy. I would have rather, I guess it would have cost more money and maybe it wouldn't have looked as good. Just do a spider. Don't have a human on the front of a spider, I think it's a bit lazy, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Rachnos to be honest. Lance was lacing Donna's coffee with the Huon particles. So we find out that the Huon particles, that's how Donna got onto the TARDIS. It's some sort of energy that the TARDIS also uses, and the TARDIS kind of saw these particles and transports her there. The main reason why Lance has been lacing Donna with these particles is because he's kind of working with the Rachnos, and the Rachnos needs these particles to free her babies or something that are like way down at the core of the earth. So she laces them up with Donna, and then Donna will fall into this thing. All the particles will go to the spiders, and the spiders will all come out of their hole. So that's pretty brutal when we find out that Lance is actually, he's behind this. He's kind of behind this whole thing, and he's a bit of an asshole himself. And yeah, in the end, he ends up getting killed himself, though. So, bad luck, Lance. The Rachnos was the first rock that formed the Earth. Now, I don't know how I feel about this. The scene where they show the Rachnos kind of egg ship thing, and then all of the Earth's crust is kind of coming around it and building the Earth. It's a cool scene, pretty decent CGI and stuff for the time. But the fact that the Rachnos is literally the middle of the Earth, now that the Rachnos is, gone, because it goes away from the... Am I thinking about that right? It shoots off from the middle of the Earth to go... Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe the actual thing itself is still there in the middle of the Earth, but I don't really know how I feel about that, that is how the Earth was formed. The Doctor drowning out the Rachnos and Donna saving him. a big pivotal moment in the show, which comes back around very late on in series 4. Yeah, the Doctor starts using the baubles, and I like that, you know, they bring those back up again, bring up the Christmas baubles. He uses that to, because this is like right under the River Thames, to basically blow holes in the wall, let the water in, and drown out. I mean, how do you kill a spider? You drown it. So, and you know, he's trying to specifically drown all the ones in the hole, all the babies. But he goes a bit too far with it, and in the end, if he kept going, probably would have killed himself. And Donna stops him because she thinks he's gone too far, and she has that little speech at the end when she was gonna go, you know, the Doctor invites her to come along with him, but she's like, no, I don't really want to, but I think you need somebody to stop you sometimes, and that comes up big later on as well. So yeah, that's a very pivotal moment for the character of Donna and the Doctor, because of course the Doctor needs somebody with him to stop him every once in a while, because he can go too far. And although Donna doesn't at this point in time want to be that person, she thinks that he needs someone. So The Runaway Bride. It's a good story. I quite like it. I think I prefer it over The Christmas Invasion, the other Christmas story we've done so far. A rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. I gave The Christmas Invasion a 7. I think this is a little bit better. For a Christmas story, I quite like it, mainly because of the Doctor and Donna. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the Rachnos as a creature itself, but the funny moments, the fact that it is a Christmas special, so you can have those funny moments, and the villain and stuff doesn't need to be as good in these sort of stories, I don't think. It's more of a vibe more than anything for these stories. I think on that regard, it does a pretty good job, so a 7.5 out of 10 for The Runaway Bride. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.